Good morning. Good
If it
morning.
wouldn't, Nyakit Janet.
Well, she was missing in action yesterday. Had
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
worried.
Yeah. Stongo. At the scow, skin yacha.
Kikadoos.
Kikadus. Gwina. Madawakwa. Madawika. Kunumonte.
Lamonte. Osito.
Sio. Halito. Good morning. Good morning. Coming live from 1950 South Shepherd here in El Ghetto. Good morning, Miss Laura Candy. Ha, Julia. Ha. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning to everybody.
Well, they had a good talking circle last night. As usual. Pretty excited for Miss Tater Tot Escott. Tatum Escott is going to be leading, empowering our youth. While we're having our talking circle for the adults. She wants to lead a talking circle because we have kids that come with their parents, and I think it's very important, because they were just as much a part of what was going on in the home, and I think it's a great idea. So I got to shout out Miss Tatum Escott. She's an amazing person. She's part of my home group. Watched her get sober, and she's willing to put in the work. So to help our youth, man, that's amazing. That's amazing. So that'll be in December. Um, yeah, more details to come, but we already have a flyer out. So that I can't wait. I cannot wait. Um,
It'd be really cool to have that.
Man, that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, I can't even imagine. Had we had something like that, I don't know if I would have participated or not. But it's just that there is that today.
Yeah, I think some kids that are just kind of more aware nowadays than we were back in the
Yeah,
day. I think we're more focused on other things
yeah, for sure,
rather than trying to
definitely.
take care of ourselves back then.
It wasn't cool enough for me. But I mean, that's amazing. I mean, just to imagine the effect that it could have on our youth to show them that they don't have to go down this way. I remember a couple of weeks ago, we were at the El Reno football game for senior night, and people were kind of like there was some kids sitting above us, at the top of the stands, and they said that there was a young girl up there that was passed out, and it just man, it just made me feel like wow, like there's a lot of healing going on, but there's also still this problem that maybe we're not focusing on, or or there, as much as prevention does, I mean, it's like we still need to keep putting that effort towards our youth. And just to think like the effect that was my first thought was, I wish she could come to our talking circle. Or I wish I knew who her parents were. Maybe they could bring her, or but just to have this opportunity, because our kids do come and take part in our talking circle,
Hmm.
and they do share. They're not just sitting there, like they're like actively being a part of the discussion, and I think that's powerful. So shout out to Miss Tatum Escott. So
Yes, sir. I mean, that's a man to think like if we would have had those kind of opportunities, like if we would have had people around that would push us to do the things that kind of the right things or help us to learn
yeah,
more back then, it would have been helpful. And but like we said, we're doing what we think is a lot, but we always think we can do more. And there's always those people that are out there that are affected by different things. And so I think having this group is going to help a lot more than people realize.
definitely.
So
Definitely. I think it's huge. Good morning, Cheyenne. Good morning, Stacy. But yeah, like you were saying, it it's probably more of a problem than what people are willing to talk about.
Yeah.
But I think just creating that safe space to allow people to talk about whatever's on their mind or whatever's troubling them. I mean, just that alone is a huge part. Just finding that freedom and being able to tell people something and and look for a solution. I think it's huge, huge. So
Yeah, we have really good advocates for it with Carly and with Maya.
yeah,
Ones that have already been through things like that.
yeah, Lena Bentley. I mean,
Bentley,
they all come through. I
yeah,
mean,
so these are all ones that are trying to make sure that they're learning as much as they can now, so they don't have to,
find out the hard way.
stopping
Yeah,
the trauma before it starts. So it's kind of cool that all that's happening. So
yeah. I can't wait. Because to me, that's where it begins.
Yep.
The effect that addiction had on my life made me think that that was the only way. Like that was my destiny. That's where I mean, I was getting in trouble young, and I just thought, well, I'm just right on time with what I'm supposed to be doing, and watching my family members, die from addiction. I mean, I just thought that's what I was supposed to do.
yeah, that's the norm.
So I'm just glad. I'm just glad. I knew it was coming. We just didn't know what it was going to look like. So I'm very proud of Tatum because she has Josie, and Josie's dad is my relation.
Mhm.
So when I helped JJ get sober, he reached out to Tatum and helped her get sober. You know what I mean? So like that's part of like the chain, and that was before I even worked for Tor. That's whenever I was still in California when all that started, and that's how Justice, my nephew Justice, that's how he got sober because him and JJ were best friends. So I mean, it's just amazing to see that that's where this thing has led, and I'm just so happy. I'm very happy that our community has this opportunity. But that'll be coming. We'll have more information about that. We'll finalize like an actual game plan, I guess you could say, and got to start somewhere, right?
Yep.
Got to start somewhere. So, what else we got? What we got? We got a busy week next week too. 988 Summit. Is that on the 18th? 19th.
In Apache.
Apache. Good morning, Mr. Prayer Chief. 21st, speaker night.
Yeah, Jam on the 23rd.
Well, that's cool. That's awesome. Well, should we go ahead and jump into this reading? Because I know Carmelo has a meeting that he has to.
Barry has the same meeting.
Yeah, but he's like the main guy. So, yeah, all we did was make fun of you last time.
I bet you did.
It wasn't even me. Usually it's me, but it wasn't even me that time. It was all Darian.
I believe it. Sorry.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
Just trying to help you out.
Mado.
Yeah. You know what? I don't even want to read this today. Let's see how well you do. All right, let's read it.
Go ahead, brother. Give it to him.
Okay. Fall Meditations today, November 15th. Our spiritual belief is that we were created as part of the land. So our identity, our names, and our songs are all tied to the land. That comes from Chief Roderick Robinson, Niska. In the traditional way, the names of Native people had great meaning. We even had naming ceremonies. The naming of someone was very important and had great significance because it was tied to earth. The identity of each member and teachings of the songs were all tied to Mother Earth. We need to know these teachings from our culture. This knowledge will help us heal the people. My Maker today helped me find my identity.
Oh.
So what you think, Mr. Botone?
Thank you, Mr. Revelis, for reading that. Nyake, Brother Earl. Nene, good morning. Good morning, Mary. Good morning. Good morning. Well, I read that this morning and I got my reflections book, and it made me think of, I always go back to the glossary and I'll just open it and whatever, pops out to me. And it landed on stream of life. Stream of life is what it landed on. So, I went to the page 232 in your reflection book, and it said, in the stream of life, there's two types of people: takers and givers. When you get into sobriety, you realize how much you're taking. You're a taker, you're self centered. You don't know how to think outside of anything but anything that, you know, uh, helps you in your addiction.
Mhm.
So when you get into sobriety, you learn how to be a giver. You remove these obstacles out of your life to realize that you're surrounded by love. You're surrounded by a community of people that are willing to love you until you learn how to love yourself. Good morning, Sonia. Stongo David, brother Ace. What's up, brother?
Feel like we haven't heard from that
I
guy.
know where you been,
Where you
Ace.
been?
But I of course I was a taker. I didn't understand the concept of giving. And there was a lady in that was at the All Addictions Wellbriety Conference in Billings, and she said, if you don't have recovery, get it. And when you get it, you got to give it away. I mean that that just summed it up, in like a real brief sentence.
Mhm.
Um, you know, you start to understand that type of thing. You start to understand that type of language, because I remember coming into this thing and reading the big book, and just thinking like, what are these people talking about? But then you surround yourself with people that are living, they're always happy, they're always good, and they're always good to people, and it's just amazing, that you start to realize how much Mother Earth gives. You start looking at all the animals, all the four-leggeds, all the winged, all those animals that are, that swim, that live underwater. You start thinking about like how much they give and how they're here, and it's all because of Mother Earth. And I know me as a Cheyenne, that's where my name comes from. A lot of us have animal names. We're named after animals. Like mine's Flying Out. You know, uh, just thinking about that connection. I got my name from my uncle Robert Wilson, and he got it from Kenneth Hari. And I never really got to ask, any, like where does it come from there?
Mhm.
But that doesn't stop me from thinking about my. I went to a basketball game last night to watch my daughter, and it just made me think of my uncle Robert. That was our thing. We'd go to the games together. We'd sit down and just conversate and just enjoy a ball game. Well, then, after reading that this morning, I just started making all those connections as to how it makes me feel. My grandma Nellie used to call everyone by their Indian name, and she used to tell us, make sure your kids have names. If not, they're going to be crazy. If you get them a name, it settles them down. And I had to find out the hard way. But luckily, I was able to get my kids named, and um, but you know, it's my spiritual belief that I was named that for a reason. To be able to carry my uncle's name, like it makes me feel this hole that I've been missing in my life, that I tried to fill with drugs and alcohol. With people. You know, I've I found that spiritual belief that I was given that name for a reason. And I'm proud because my uncle was a hell of a man. My uncle was a great man, and I miss him, every day. And to think, like, not only do I have that name, I had, my brother Carl Bryce, he had the same name. He was born a year after me, and then my nephew Caleb, my brother Woody's son, he has that name. And now my grandson, Ivana's son, he has that name. And it just makes me proud to see that this name's going to keep going and going and going. Like they're going to name somebody after them. If we could be anything like my uncle Robert, I mean, this name's going to keep going and going and going. But I understand that that's my identity. That's who I am. When I hear somebody that knows my name, like Carly, her last name is Flying Out. I love that. I love that to see, to hear that name, and it just makes me feel good every time I see it, every time I hear it. Good morning, Grandpa Aaron. And it just helps create this mentality that there's more out there for me. I want to keep learning. I want to keep trying. I've removed all these obstacles out of my life, and what I found on the other side of that was love. And man, I think about how much my uncle loved me. Like, man, he every time I could see him every day, and he'll always come up and give me a hug. And it's just that type of environment that I've created for myself, or what the creator has created in my life, because I finally learned how to get out of his way. So I like today's reading. I like every day's reading, but this one hits home because it talks about my identity, my spiritual belief. And what better way to carry on our traditions, our culture, than to start with love. I love my people. I love being Cheyenne. I love, the fact that I was born in Thomas. I love my community over there. And then, I love my community here. There's a big recovery community. You just got to be able to go out and find those types of people. And I was fortunate enough to find, people like Miss Cindy, and people at 506 South Barker here in El Reno, at the AA group. I that's what happened after I got into the big book, and I recognized where my issues were, and I was able to face those things. And what happened was a miracle. What happened was a miracle, and I just can't forget that. I can't ever forget where I come from, and definitely giving it all to the creator on wherever I'm going. So with that, I'm gonna shut up now. Oh,
Yeah. I think that there's we kind of had a good example of everything that you've learned over time in the dance that we were at, and you didn't know that they were going to honor you with that shirt, and they gave you they had the stories about knowing who you were and everything, and seeing you in the paper, and they're like, man, I need to pray for that guy. And now it's like, man, how far have you come since then? And for people to recognize,
hang on, Snoop. Did you know that Snoop trying to get on?
to realize like just how far you've come, and to for people to recognize that it's a big deal, and you've grounded yourself in learning about, not just learning, but learning more about where you've come from and everything like that. And so when I take a look at my life and how much I've overcome, like I never got to when I was between me being a baby until I was 8 years old, I never even knew that I was native. I was a little Mexican boy growing up in Dallas and doing everything, knowing everything about that. And I knew more Spanish then as a young kid than I ever did anything else. And then when we lost our parents, it was like it was almost like a culture shock because we moved from there to Oklahoma, uh, foster family, and then like that's when I finally figured out, hey, I'm Pawnee, hey, I'm Oto, I'm enrolled with the Pawnee Nation. My family name is Knife Chief. I started learning all these things, but then I grew up knowing more of my Oto stuff as I was a younger kid, and then we moved with Donna and her family, and they're all the kids are all three affiliated from up north, and then Donna grew up as she was a Arapaho lady, strong Arapaho lady, and so we grew up around here. And if you were to ask 50%, probably more than that, of the people around here, they all think that me and James
Yeah.
are CNA. And
James Axina.
well, he does have those tendencies.
Yeah.
So whenever I think about that, like I'm trying to learn as much as I can now, and to hear about the naming process because I've never gotten my name, and so I reached out to Adrian, who's is a good friend of ours over at Pawnee. He's worked with Tor over there before they lost their grant, so I was asking him about how it's supposed to happen and the right way to do it, and I want to make sure that I do it the right way, and so there's a whole big process about that, but there's so much more that I need to learn, and so that's why it's exciting for me to have the relationships that we have with different tribes and things like that because I'm learning how everybody works in different ways and to see how their traditions have helped them grow and um, I've always I always felt like I knew a lot about the Cheyenne and Arapaho traditional ways, but I'm still learning about that stuff, and I don't want to stop because we learn stuff every day, and whether it's about recovery or just your regular education, like Ace is talking about, trying to become sophisticated.
Sophisticated uncle. No.
That's why Barry doesn't read the meditation.
Barely talk.
Carrie. But yeah, it's just I don't want to say that I'm jealous, but the people that get raised up and knowing their background and things like that, and to have it's such a blessing for people to still have their parents and to be able to say, hey man, I'm going to call my mom today, and don't ever take that for granted because that's a big deal, and try to get as much knowledge as you can from them because once they're gone, you're not going to have that ability anymore. And it's hard. It's hard to go through life without having that. And for you to start gaining your beliefs, start to learn where you come from and things. Don't be afraid to ask questions to your elders. Don't be afraid to ask questions to your parents. Um, because every little piece of knowledge that you can gain from them is going to be helpful to you in your future.
Definitely.
And I want to be sure that my kids are learning as much as they can, and my girls still have most of their family with them, and Mello does too. And so I'm like, man, take every opportunity you can to go be with them, spend as much time you can with them, and because it's a real blessing. Creator blessed you guys with good people in your lives. Make sure you're taking advantage of it. So I'm trying to make sure that they're getting all the opportunities they can to be able to do that I didn't have. And so as much as I'm trying to learn, I want to make sure that they're learning as much as possible too. So that's all I got right now.
Definitely.
Yep. Mm.
AK wanted to tell her daughter happy birthday to Angel Dean. I got a funny story about Angel. When she lived with her dad Berto, that's whenever Trump was trying to get elected,
Mm.
and Berto, Angel's probably like 2 or 3. It's like, what do we say about Trump, Angel? And she's like, F Donald Trump.
Man,
I was like, what? I always remember that about Angel.
about kids yesterday and how they pick up on the littlest things.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Yeah, that happened.
that's funny. Only in El Reno. Nah.
Yeah. That don't happen in Thomas.
Nah, hell no, you get your ass beat over there.
Oh man.
Well, that was good. That was good. I like that. Just having that spiritual malady and to be able to find a way to handle that and, get in touch with, who we are. I mean, that's my identity. I'm a native. I'm a native from a very small town, but, we're still rich in culture.
Hmm.
No matter what tribe you are, you have a culture out there. Everybody comes from somewhere. And I think it's just very important that you take the time to figure that out. And maybe you do know. And, you're just not in a place where, those things can come into play. But I promise, if you give yourself a chance, it's always going to be worth it. It's always going to make you heal a little bit more. So,
Right.
Modo. Well, should we jump into these announcements? Finally, we ain't been able to do announcements in a while, it seems like.
Talkspace. Make sure you guys are signing up. Free service, free counseling, free therapy. Sign up www.talkspace.com/CHA tour. Use that organizational code RESTORE. Sign up. We still have tons of spots left for people
Yeah,
to sign
anybody and everybody.
up. Use it. We know that David uses it on a consistent basis. It helped him get through his court program because he had to go and have counseling. So if you guys need something, make sure you're using it. Especially if you're going through recovery, and mental health is a big deal nowadays. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Self-care, very important.
The most important.
Yep.
Text TOR, TOR to 888-580-4TOR. Shout out to Brand Logics. That keeps you updated with, whatever we got going on for the day. Whether it's a talking circle, whether All Nations is doing something, at a powwow, or it just gives you all our updates. And, we appreciate just, it's a huge deal because it really helps. It really helps. So shout out to Brand Logics. Then All Nations Well Variety Speaker Night will be November 21st here at 1950 South Shepherd. We will be serving a meal at 6. And the meeting will be from 7 to 8. Miss Natalie Harjo Oshkinyecha will be sharing her experience, strength, and hope. So, if you can't come to the meeting, then we will be live streaming it. And yeah, she's got a good story. And I'm lucky I get to hear it every day.
She hasn't got that far yet.
No.
Dave said Miss Bojo is speaking. Yeah. Weatherford Jam coming up. Come out. No, what's that? November 23rd.
Yes.
Weatherford Middle School.
Weatherford Middle School.
Come out. We're going to be out there supporting Mr. Terry Lindsay. He's the honored educator there, and then of course Carly's there from Weatherford Public Schools, and
yeah, we will be sponsoring the cloth and buckskin for girls and teens. So, it's a youth powwow. They're doing amazing things over there, and with the Weatherford JOM parents, I think it should become the thing to do for most JOM programs. Most of them.
I'm still not used to them teeth.
I know, right? Most of them.
Oh man.
Go ahead.
Oh, Circle
I'm
of
done.
Giving, December 7th in Geary. at the ERC, Give Miles ERC. Make sure you come out. We're gonna have a benefit dance. It's gonna be mostly social dancing. Got me talking bad now. Mostly
Mostly.
social dancing that night. We're asking head staff just to do drum giveaway and donations for the kids that are in need. We're trying to make sure that the ones that are secondary victims to addiction get to have as good a Christmas as everybody else does. So we're making sure we're doing that. Make sure if you have anybody you want to nominate, there's the form right there. Scan it. Get those nominations in. We're already having people come and sponsor those that are nominated. So make sure you're going out and doing that. Oh yeah, and if you bring a toy, $10. There's part of that giveaway. See,
Them B-boys.
see us out there. There's our picture. I think Isaac did that. It was hilarious. So,
Yeah.
so we're the Mike Bone of the tour group, I guess.
Be-
Yeah. So, yeah, make sure you guys come out, get you a 65-inch TV or some bikes. Come donate a prize. You get entered into the raffle. So, Mr. Zeke the Freak.
Zeke the Freak.
He's going to be speaking at the 988 conference too that we'll be at. So if you guys want to hear us and him, come on down. He just got back from his deportation to Mexico.
Cancun. Yeah, he's down there, but
They let him come back. We're glad that they let him come back. So make sure you check him out, www.zacharyblackout.com. So
then we have I can't say it. Mending Mondays is a Mending Broken Hearts talking circle. I get the most out of those meetings. They're great. I mean, if you're dealing with grief and you're having trouble, just even processing, it makes you think outside the box and helps you realize a lot of things about in a healthy way. That's what's great about it is you learn how to deal with things in a healthy way and you recognize issues. So then on Tuesday nights, they have a talking circle in Clinton at 7 o'clock at 721 Frisco Avenue at the public library. And then, last night they had a talking circle here at 1950 South Shepherd at 7 o'clock. Miss Cattigus led the group last night, so she did an amazing job. Thank you, Kat. And then tonight, there's a 12-step meeting that gets a little bit more in depth into the Wellbriety book, a little bit more action where you put pen to paper, led by our very own Mr. David Levi. And we appreciate the comment, Mr. Givens. Mado.
singing Creek Kims, man. My wife's having me try to learn those too. So
I bet you I learned one.
I hope you learn at least one.
Bust it out.
Bust it out.
Bust it out. What else we got? Is that it?
That's it.
Wow, that's only
Got 4 minutes.
33 minutes. That was not bad at all. Well, I'm about to call you back, Snoopy. And we appreciate everybody that tunes in. It's just such a blessing to be able to do this thing every day, and just thankful that the Creator allows it. So.
Oh yeah, Rugged Auntie, Miss Corinne. She told me to make sure that I told everybody that she's not elder yet. She's not that status yet. I tried to reach out to her yesterday and ask her some. And so I told her, I said, you know what? I'll give you a shout out to let everybody know that you're not elder.
He did my Rugged Auntie like
I was
that.
like, but she's real close. So
She's a young Rugged Auntie.
Yeah.
She's a young Rugged Auntie.
so
I blame it on Crazy Horse for doing her hips like that, but we ain't gonna get into that.
yeah. So I just wanted to be sure that I did that. Make sure we shout out Miss Miss not elder status Rugged Auntie Corinne. So
And shout out to everyone in early recovery.
Yep.
Keep it up. Put in the work, and the Creator will take care of all the rest. Let go and let God. So good words, Mr. Levi. Good words. Well, with that, I guess we're gonna go ahead and get off of here. Like, share, follow. Tell your mammy about it. Just we're trying to get the word out. So,
Go subscribe to the YouTube. We need more followers on there.
aho.